Watch it!
Hello and welcome to Mecha Anime Reviews, and today we're taking a look at one of the classics from the 90s. We're taking a look at Giant Robo, The Day the Earth Stood Still. The anime's conception is pretty strange. In 1990, producer Yasuhiro Imagawa approached Yasuhiro Imagawa about working on an animated version of Mitsutero Yokoyama's Giant Robo manga. It has never been done before, and being a big fan of Yokoyama's work, Imagawa jumped at the chance on working on the project. However, in pre-production, Imagawa was informed that he could not use any of the supporting characters from the manga, only having access to Daisaku Kusama, the Big Fire organization, and the titular robot. Which is odd. I mean, you'd think having the license to the manga would mean you can use all of the characters to come along with it, right? I mean, it's like if Nintendo gave some filmmaker permission to make a Mario movie, but only being able to use Mario, Peach, and Bowser without any of the enemies or supporting characters from the games. With this restriction, Imagawa came up with the brilliant idea of incorporating characters from Yokoyama's entire canon of work, including, but not limited to, Babel 2, Sally the Witch, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Akakage, Suikoden, Godmars, and many, many others that I'm not going to point out, because if I did, we'd be here all damn week. The series still follows Daisaku and Robo from the manga, and the main antagonist is still the Big Fire organization. However, it features a practically different storyline with a massive amount of characters and concepts that weren't from the original manga. To make things more interesting, apparently Imagawa had planned to do more episodes after episode 7 to finish up the story, but the plan was scrapped, leaving it entirely unfinished. Regardless of these issues, it still proved to be a big success anyway, with a rather large following. We're gonna find out why. Anyway, what's the story? It's in the 1960s version of the future. The third energy revolution has happened thanks to the invention of the Shizuma drive, designed by Dr. Shizuma and Dr. Von Vogler. However, Von Vogler went insane and attempted to sabotage the experiment to bring about the eternal night, as he so puts it. He failed, but not before devastating the majority of Bashtar. Years later, his son Genya took over the organization of Big Fire and the cabal known as the Magnificent Ten, and attempts to carry out his father's legacy and bring about the Eternal Night. However, standing in his way are the International Police Organization, led by the Experts of Justice, chief among them being the young boy by the name of Daisaku Kusama, whose father was killed by Big Fire and now controls the mighty robot known as Giant Robo. Despite the simple premise, however, dark secrets are eventually revealed, characters are killed off by the numbers, and as the series goes on, Daisaku comes to ask himself if happiness can be achieved without sacrifice. The animation is incredible. It goes without saying that it looks marvelous, with epic battles being wonderfully detailed, and in general, the show looks great. The music is pretty awesome too, using some cool orchestra music that fits the theatrical nature of the show. The English dub is a bit complicated though. There are actually 2 dubs for the show, both of them from Media Blasters. I'm taking a look at the original dub since I don't have access to the second one. The original dub is one of those English dubs that I can't say it's good, but it actually does fit with the over-the-top and bizarre nature of the show. It's campy, but it does fit the insanity of the series for the most part. However, there are some voices that don't suit the characters at all, especially given the revelations we find out later. The odd voice that stands out in particular is Tom Fan as Dr. Von Vogler. He sounds way too high-pitched, coupled with a crappy German accent, and you get a voice that's extremely grating. Admittedly, he tones it down in later appearances, but it still sucks. Other than that, I can't recommend the dub, but it's tolerable to listen to. The majority of the series is centered around the desperate struggle between the International Police Organization and Big Fire. And when I say desperate struggle, I mean really fucking desperate. Throughout the series, the bad guys often have an advantage over the heroes in some way or form, making the battles between the groups pretty serious. There is genuine tension, and you're honestly worried if the heroes will come out okay, or wondering how they're gonna win against the bad guys. This makes any victory the good guys get all the more special, even if quite a few of them die in the process. Something this series excels at is, surprisingly, the character relations and drama. Despite the over-top nature of the show, it's grounded by an emotional core, mainly Daisaku's coming-of-age story, and Ginrei, the daughter of Dr. Von Volger and Genya's sister, struggling with the legacy left behind by her family. A common theme throughout the show is legacy. Parents leave behind when they die, and how their children attempt to carry them out. This is played out through the question Daisaku's father asks him, if happiness can be achieved without sacrifice, and the interactions between Ginrei and Genya. The drama grounds the series, giving it a certain weight that allows it to be taken seriously despite the goofiness. Combine that with some very, very likable characters that you grow to care about, and some of the best action I've seen in an anime, and you got yourself something wonderful. That being said, there are a few problems, though only one of them is truly a major one. It can get really annoying how the heroes keep sacrificing themselves while the villains continue to live. This wouldn't be that big of a problem if we don't repeatedly get fake outs of the villains seemingly dying, only to make an inexplicable recovery. I think that only 2 of the villains actually die throughout the show, while the vast majority of the heroes die, leaving only 3 of them left. Speaking of the heroes, for a show called Giant Robo, the titular mech doesn't get to do much. It pretty much gets its ass kicked almost every time it appears. It makes both it and Daisaku pretty useless, almost being the load of the team despite Daisaku being the main character, and the audience viewpoint character as well. But those are just minor problems. The only real problem that I have with the series is the ending. It pulls a twist that pretty much makes every single sacrifice and battle the heroes go through completely and absolutely pointless. No, it's not a kill 'em all ending where they all die or something like that. In fact, the world is saved. The twist kinda makes sense in the context of the story, but it still feels a little unsatisfying. Then again, maybe that was the point. It doesn't help that it ends on a sequel hook that was never followed up on thanks to the cancellation of the series. Oh well, whatever. Giant Robo is awesome. It's got great characters, great development, the action is amazing, it's gleefully over the top while still being compelling. Aside from the ending, which is admittedly more of a personal gripe than anything objectively wrong, it stays consistently spectacular throughout. Oh well, see you next time on the next Mecha Anime Reviews. Also, prepare yourselves. Next month, we have Gundam Month once more!
Crush them now, Giant Robo!